The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken, and I hung my head and cried. You are my sunshine.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Happy New Year once again. If you are just tuning in for the first time, thank you for checking out Running My Mouth, the vlog. So it's been a while. I'm just getting in under the deadline of my once a week resolution. So I'm going to start right off. I said I would recommend a book this week. I've been reading The Marvels by Brian Selznik. This is a middle grade book, and big chunks of the book are just these incredible illustrations, pencil illustrations that tell the story. And then in the middle, there's a pretty good chunk of, not dialogue, I guess it's just written word. Text, that's the word I was looking for. And this particular story is about a boy who's struggling to understand his parents' choices, and he runs away from his school. I'm not going to go too much into the plot, but if you've never read a Brian Selznik book, which include Wonderstruck and The Invention of Hugo Cabret, sorry about that, they are structured very much like this, and I'm not really an illustration person. I'm really more of a let's move the story along person. But Brian Selznik is so good that he can even get me to slow down a little bit and really look at the pictures. So if you are the proud owner or caretaker of really anyone, but specifically to maybe 4th through 6th grade kids, this is a great read. And just as an FYI, there is a relationship between the boy's uncle and another man that is made reference to their companions. And there is a subplot that AIDS gets involved. There's nothing in it that talks about sexuality, really. It doesn't, but it's just treated as, oh, okay, that's the person he loves, which is how I think it should be treated. But, so if that's an issue for you, you might want to either pre-read it or make another choice, which is totally cool. All right, runners. I'm a runner, and I'm going to talk about running today. Woohoo! So I'm focusing a little bit more on my race calendar for the first half of 2016. I have 2 races that I'm fairly sure I'm going to do. I haven't signed up for them yet, but barring any injuries or changes in my family's calendar, I'm going to do on April 10th the Great Bay Marathon. That is, and I have to look at my notes, Newmarket, New Hampshire. I did that race several years ago. It's a great hometown-ish, I can sleep in my bed the night before, race, half marathon. It's got nice hills. There's some really beautiful backcountry roads. I remember distinctly the finish line. There's a huge hill right before the finish line, and then the finish line is like a downhill into the town, and the crowds are great. And that was going to be my sort of focus race for the spring, but then I decided I wanted to participate in the trainlikeamother.club activities, which I'll put information at the end, and be part of that training program. And their program doesn't start in time for the weeks to work out. Anyway, so I'm going to run that race, use it as sort of a supported long run, just for giggles. And my goal race is going to be the Big Lake Half Marathon, which is Mother's Day weekend. It's down in Alton. I've also done that race before, and that one, it's got some hills. I ran that last race really hard. I don't think I'll be able to capture a PR on that course because that was before child number 3, and I was a lot younger then. But that's a fun one. So that's the one I'll be focusing on with my training plan. Now, I might have 2 other races. I'm going in February for the lottery of the Mount Washington Road race, which is 7.6 or 8 miles straight up the auto road to Mount Washington here in New Hampshire. And the motto is only one hill. So mostly people say your best predictor of your finish time is your half marathon time. So I should be able to swing it in under 2 hours if, nothing bad happens. But it's a lottery, and I don't know how many people, submit their names versus how many get in. So I don't know if I'll get into that. And finally, and this is the one that is kind of the most exciting to me, there's a lottery for the it's called the Vermont City Marathon in Burlington. There's no Vermont City. I looked on the map, but that's what they call it, Vermont City Marathon. That one is Memorial Day weekend. I think it's the Sunday. So there's a marathon, but there's also marathon relays. So I'm putting in for the marathon relay to run half of that with, drum roll please, Mr. Scott Giessler, my husband, who has sort of agreed, I think, he did a couple of months ago, to maybe sort of do it with me. So that would be the coolest. And my dear, dear, dear BRF, best running friend Lauren, lives right in Vermont, in Burlington. So we'd be able to hang out with her and her awesome family. So that would be super cool. So those are all the possibilities of my race calendar, but that only takes me through May. So goodness knows what I will do after that. In this past week, I've had an okay time getting out. I had to go to the treadmill one day at 4:30 in the morning because it was like 4 degrees, and I thought treadmill is less evil than running in 4 degrees. And then yesterday, one of my kiddos had a birthday party in the afternoon, so I said, okay, I'll drop them, and then I'll take a nice long run. And I thought I would get 8 miles in. I ended up listening to the Another Mother Runner podcast, and I swear to God they don't pay me. I just really like them, so that's why they come up so much. And I got a little distracted, and I ended up running out all the way until the podcast ended. And then, I was 5 miles away from the birthday party. So I ended up running 10 miles, which was great because I haven't run that far since the 50K, I think, in September. So I was very tired last night when I got home. I think I went to bed. I think Gabe went to bed, my 3-year-old, at maybe 8. And I think by 8:15, I was like in my bed with my little toesies tucked in and reading my book. So that's okay. So last thing I will recommend to you, I said I would recommend things that I'm watching or listening to. So I'm going to recommend a podcast this time. And I like to listen to podcasts when I run. And one that I really love, and it's super fun. It's never like, you don't have to hear about horrible things happening to people. It's called Ask Me Another. And it's from National Public Radio. It's a quiz show. But it's not like... Wait, Don't Tell Me, which I also love and listen to, but it's more just funny, see if you can name the celebrity whose initials are, I don't know, I'm going to butcher the description, but they have a special VIP, very important puzzler, every week, and then they have just like groups of, duos of contestants, and then in the end, there's a final round. Anyway, it's super fun. It's about, I think with all the, what do you call it? So the support ads taken out. It's about a 45-minute listen. So I highly recommend that. You can listen to it with your kids in the car. Mostly, sometimes they'll warn you at the beginning that they've left in some usually very hilarious and inappropriate things. So, but it's definitely family friendly and it's quite fun. So I think I've covered my bases. I'm going to get in under the deadline of once a week. And so I will now say, thanks, Mom!
The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken.